Everyone, yes we are. What's up guys, it's McKinley Crain here, and today I'm going to be doing my spoiler-free movie review of the 2013 um, sci-fi drama horror film, which is also like a psychological thriller, which is Coherence. So Coherence is a movie that's obviously low budget. I think it only had like a budget of like $500,000. Like, it was, I think it was like only made on a budget with like a $500,000. But it's a great movie, and this movie didn't really need like very many special effects. So yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, this movie is about a group of 8 friends. Um, well, technically, like some of them were like married couples, but like or like not married couples, just like boyfriend and girlfriend. I forgot, but some of them were in like romantic relationships with each other, but they're all like friends with each other. Like one group of one couple is friends with like another couple, and you know what I'm saying. Um, so let's just call them 8 friends anyway, because I don't feel like clarifying any more stuff. Anyway, so 8 friends are at a dinner party, and basically, um, like a comet, a comet like passes by Earth or whatever, and it gets dangerously close to Earth. I think that's how it happened. I don't exactly remember. I saw this movie like a month ago, so I've forgotten some details. Um. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's how it happens. So a comet basically like gets dangerously near Earth and passes like right near Earth, and they can see it. And then their power goes out. The power at their house goes out, and strange stuff starts happening. Like they're all of a sudden seeing doubles. They're seeing like doubles of themselves. Like outside, when they go outside, they literally see people who look exactly like them, just staring at them. Well, not exactly staring at them. Like they get a glimpse of them, if you know what I mean. But they run into each other a couple times, and yeah. And this whole movie is basically them trying to like the 8 people at the dinner party trying to figure out what the heck is going on, and how to get things right. And although this movie is about 8 people, the main character is really M, who's played by Emily Baldoni. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. And yeah, a lot of time is focused on this character. She's pretty much the main character. And she does the most amount of stuff that actually affects this movie's plot. So yeah, she's the main character essentially. Anyway, and she's great. All of the characters in this movie are great, and they all have great chemistry with each other. You can just feel like you can feel whatever feelings are like going around between all of these 8 people, and like there's like a when you can feel like when you can feel like hatred, you can feel like the hatred, and you can feel like the like the distrust and stuff like that, and you can feel like or you could just feel that like the friendship, or like the trustworthiness between these people. It's like all you can feel all of those emotions, like all the emotions in this movie between like all the characters perfectly. And these are all great characters. Some are better than others, but they're all great. I love this movie. It was a very confusing film. It's actually one of the most confusing movies I've ever seen in my life. It's not. I think Primer's a lot more confusing than this movie. Yeah, Primer's way more confusing than this movie. Both of those sci-fi movies are like as confusing AF. But you know, Primer's way more confusing than this movie. Just putting that out there. So it's not as confusing as Primer, but it is a really confusing movie. And you know, it tries to be confusing. That's one of its whole gimmicks. It's like it tries to make you go, "What is going on here?" It's like Donnie Darko. It's like Inception. It's like Memento. Yeah, I can count Memento as one of those like confusing movies that are supposed to confuse you. Even though, you know, Memento doesn't try to confuse you nearly as much as the other movies I mentioned do. Oh yeah, I can include Memento. Anyway, so yeah, this is a very confusing movie. But you know, that's his gimmick, and it's confusing in a great way that just makes you think and makes you think about the movie even more. And let me just say that this movie is great. It's not perfect by any means. Nothing in this movie is perfect, but everything in this movie is great. Nothing in this movie is bad. Everything in this movie is great. The acting is great. The ending is like really, really, really shocking. In a good way, of course. And really, 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 really well written. And clever. And confusing, but in a good way, of course. And it's purposely confusing, too. And this whole movie is just awesome. It's like, you know, a hidden gem, if you know what I mean. It's a hidden gem for anybody who loves psychological thrillers or mysteries or sci-fi movies or just great movies in general. It's a hidden gem. It's a very thrilling movie. The editing is great. It's got great editing, and it's really confusing. I have to say that. I feel like I have to say that like a lot in this video because, you know, it is really confusing. It's awesome. It's like not everybody's cup of tea, not everybody's kind of movie, but it is my kind of movie. And if this movie is your kind of movie, then you'll probably like this movie. Can't guarantee because I can't read your mind, and I don't know exactly what kind of stuff you like about a movie, like, you know, all the little details that'll piss in a movie that'll, like, you know, piss you off, or like, I don't know. Anyway, this movie has very clever writing, very smart writing. It's the dialogue is very clever. Just, you know, everything is so like clever. It's like, wow, that's actually really smart. Like, you know, a lot of the decisions made in this movie are really smart. Of course, there's some purposely dumb ones too. Like, you know, in this movie, so like, you know, there are a couple instances in this movie where, like, you know, characters make dumb mistakes. But that's the point. Those mistakes are supposed to be dumb, and, you know, it benefits the story. But, you know, the smart stuff is awesome too, and benefits the story. Also benefits the story. Anyway, I love this movie. It's very yeah, I'm gonna say it again. It's very confusing, but in a great way. It's one of the most confusing movies I've ever seen. I have said that like 8 times already in this video, but it really is. It really is like a really confusing movie, but in a good way. It's pleasantly confusing, so I like to say. Anyway, I'm gonna give this movie an 86% out of 100%, which is the equivalent of an A-. Like, subscribe, join the notification squad. I will return.